Alright, zoals het gekende spreekwoord zegt, wie A zegt moet ook D zeggen. We hadden niet alleen Anne Dooms, maar ook Amandine David, ook uit Brussel. Zij is een ontwerper en designer, heb ik opgezocht. Zij is afgestudeerd aan de Design Academy in Eindhoven. Dat klopt inderdaad. Zij probeert in haar werk eigenlijk een brug te slaan tussen de digitale productie aan de ene kant en traditionele ambachten aan de andere kant. En iedereen die ooit een drievoudige integraal heeft uitgerekend met bolcoördinaten, die kan dat bevestigen. Wiskunde, dat is een ambacht. Dus ja, wiskunde als ambacht, dat is een beetje de gewoven vlag die de lading hier zal dekken van de lezing. Voor de mensen die er nog zitten, een Mexican wave en je kunt beginnen. Succes.
Thank you. Oh, wow. Nice. Hello, I'm sorry, I'm going to give the talk in English because my Dutch is not that good yet. So as David said, I'm a designer and my work is located between traditional crafts and digital manufacturing. I aim to create connection between those two fields, which seems maybe rather opposed at first. And this involved a lot of weaving. So I was trained as a product designer, so mostly trained to draw objects, to conceive objects. And early in my work, I had the opportunity to work abroad in very multicultural fields. And I realized that even though I was not sharing a similar language with craftspeople, through materials and through techniques, I could still communicate, and that's for me very important because craft technique became sort of a language within my practice. I'm going to tell you about a weaving code project that started when I was at Design Academy Eindhoven, and I had this practice of working with traditional crafts, and they offered us to work with Arduino and technologies like this. And my first reaction was like, no, thank you, I work with traditional tools, I work with my hands, and I'm not interested in working with Arduino, and why should I? And they laughed at me a bit, my mentors, and they called me a Luddite. And Luddites, they were textile workers in the early 90s in the United Kingdoms. And so they were like skilled artisans working on big looms, and their skills was really valuable. They got some freedoms thanks to this. And when the first automated loom arrived, then their skills and knowledge lost a bit of value because, like, to activate a loom, you would not need like 10 persons, but maybe 2 or 3 persons. And so a lot of people got unemployed, and it started a big protest, kind of a small revolution, like when they started, like as depicted in this image, like to break looms and to really put fires into factories. So it was a big thing, and it lasted for a few years till at a certain point when in the UK it was like it could be sentenced by death to destroy a loom. So for me, it's a moment that crystallized this opposition that we sometimes have between human skills, crafts, and the labor of machine, the possibility of replacing people with machine. But so yeah, I was like, okay, you call me a Luddite, so I'm going to start weaving, and I'm going to start being interested in weaving as a technique. And so yeah, this is how you learn weaving at first, like through different patterns, working on the loom. And while researching this technology, I came to realize that, as explained, weaving is a handcraft, but it's also part of a larger history of evolution of techniques. And so here is the Jacquard punch card, and it's coded with binary information, so a whole or a flat paper, because when you weave, the threads go either up or down, and that is what will create the patterns. And so here, all my everything that I weave is actually can be coded in binary code. So all my threads ups or down are actually 0 and 1s, and that's what was the start of programmation. Like The punch cards are very similar to the first IBM punch card that were used to store information. And and now 0 and 1 got the basics of programmation as we know it today. And with this in mind, I continue learning weaving, and those are like extracts from like old books of how to learn weaving. And it's always like really aimed at women. So weaving is seen as a domestic labor, something that is related to women's work, and something that is really sensitive and maybe delicate and so on. But when you go through the book, then you really see that it's really mathematics and it's actually programmation. And because when you do programmation, you would set an environment with certain input, output. You choose which order, which function they have. And it's the same on my loom. So I will set a certain environment, which is my warp. So the threads that are on my loom, and I will display them on different frames. So either my frame is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. And I decide how I'll organize that. And then after that, all the actions that I will run in my loom will create a certain patterns. So if I pull the frame number 1 and put a thread, then it will be the threads on the frame number 1 that are visible. But if my environment at the beginning is set differently, then all the actions that I run into it will generate different outcome, different patterns. So this is a little Excel file that I act a bit to transform into a kind of a loom. And so there is a kind of a repertoire, an alphabet of patterns that I can weave with. And they have, different codes associated, but they also are linked to different outcomes, which are like either graphic patterns, but there are also physical qualities of the textile that we will get. Like, for example, we use satin a lot, maybe you know, with silk or with shiny materials, because the threads here, you see, it will be... So it was... the threads are loose on a longer length, longer length, and so it reveals a bit the shininess of the fabric of the thread. But if you want something really solid, like for jeans, you would use like plain weave, for example. And what I did with all this in mind, thinking that my loom is actually using the same language as my computer, I thought, okay, maybe I can put those in relation. And so I hacked my loom using an Arduino to transform the patterns that I'm weaving into 0 and 1 so that my computer could understand it. And I focused especially on 3 patterns to identify in my alphabet to begin with. So this one, that is really simple. And those two were interesting to me because they create also a physical outcome, which is a loose thread that is, you see here or there. And the loose thread is either above or under. And for me, it was an opportunity to connect with my 3D modeling software, because if I have physical outcome here, maybe I can connect it somehow with another physical outcome. So what I ask my computer to do is that when it detects this pattern, it does nothing. And when it detects this pattern, it will start to generate a tube to fit in the opening created in the textile. And depending on how long I weave this same pattern, then the tube will change, will get bigger. So it's a little video. So those are the pedals to lift up or down my frames. And this is Arduino with simple like switch to detect if it's on or off, up or down. And then this will be transmitted to my 3D modeling software. So it detects the pattern on time, and then it will generate the shape to fit in it. And those are the moments where it creates tubes with the black threads. And so, yeah, then in the end, the goal is like to create hybrid pieces mixed of weaving and 3D printing, 3D printed parts. And yeah, I created a series of pieces, and yeah, my goal through this was really to turn my loom into an interface to talk with my computer, and also to have this idea that actually using a certain technology doesn't mean like replacing human gesture, but it can be used to enhance it, to augment it, or double it. Yeah, and this led to lots of different things. I mean, since a few years that I work on this research. And this is one part. I got asked by Martin Sigler, a journalist, for an interview at some point. But he wanted to write quite a lot and to write into a dialogue. And I was like, okay, it's really nice, but I don't have really much time. What about we would weave together? And I shared with him the loom on Excel, so we started weaving together. So he set up the loom, like the disposition of the threads on the loom, and then he started making a pattern, and you see like all these are each time part of a dialogue. So he would weave 10 lines, and I would weave 10 lines, and we would keep on answering on each other. And so, yeah, that's how I think of craft as a language as well. I'm going to tell you shortly about another project that I'm currently working on as well, related to AI and weaving. It's a collaboration I started with Matthijs Tratstaart, and so he's a poet and author, and at the moment he's writing an essay on artificial intelligence and its impact on authors. And it told me about this project, and I saw in what he was saying a lot of reference to Ludism and to weaving, and so I said, okay, what about we make this a collaboration, and I can echo your text with weaving, and I can make illustration for it. And so we started working on that. So now it's still in process, but we have 3 chapters yet. I mean, he wrote 3 chapters, and I made 3 woven pieces. And the first part of his text is about AI in cultural imagination. So as Anne was explaining earlier, AI takes information, data, images, videos on one part, then transform it through a certain protocol, and then give an outcome out of it, if I'm correct. And starting from this, I asked to extract as much data possible from the text. And so I asked Matthijs like a lot of questions, like how many words, how many letters do you have in your text, how many chapters, how many times is there weaving words, or like trying to get a lot of abstract data. So voluntarily also like not so meaningful to play with it. And from all those numbers I got, then I could attribute because to make a weaving, I can also start from an image. And so, so I would attribute one number to the number of pixels from the length of a number of pixels on this length, the number of grids, and then I could attribute which pattern to which color. And that's how, yeah, we got from the data taken from this text to a woven piece. And now I set a bit of this protocol that I could repeat with other texts. The second part was about the impact of the Luddite on the way we think of technology and how we think of the political and social implication of a certain of the creation of a certain technology, and started from Shelley's Gleningin manifesto of Luddism, that is very much about what social relations are created by a technology. I used a similar grid and made this weaving with the idea, with a lot of loose thread, with the idea that it could become also a starting point for weaving together with Matthijs. So then I made this weaving, then Matthijs made an intervention on it, and with this idea that I'm weaving, but I'm also weaving a new loom for someone else to take over this and to have multiple moments of cooperation. And the third part is, was an idea of Matthijs that photography, when it started, was not considered as an art. It was considered as a technique to capture a certain moment, but as the photographer, you were clicking on the button, but there are so many other elements playing, like the lights, what is happening, what is the technique of the camera, what technique is used for to develop those images and so on. And so there is not only one person active in this process of creating a piece. And so I start to question, to wonder, like, how does that apply to weaving as well? And so I made this pattern, like using the same grid as before, but I do that in a software, and I used only only the data like from this software, only the functions from this software in the order in which they would appear. So I didn't really make any decisions, just using the software like A, B, C, D. And you see also that there is a connection between photography and weaving, as this is the file I work from. So it's full of black and white pixels. And then this is the results I got. And within the materialization, there is the thickness of the thread that is playing. So here you see it's kind of stretched. But if I would use a different thread, or if I would weave on a different loom, then it's always a bit transformed. And so we are still in the process of, Matthijs is still in the process of writing the text, and so there will be more chapters to come. And voilà, thank you.